My name is Hannah, and this is my beauty budget. All right, it is time for the first check-in of 2019, the first check-in of my beauty budget. During 2018, which was my no-buy year, I was filming a check-in at the end of every month, and I was asking myself the question, what was it like to be on a no-buy this month? How is the no-buy going, essentially? So the check-ins this year are going to be answering the question, how is it going to be on a beauty budget? A strict budget for buyable beauty. My budget is $200 a month for makeup, skincare, clothing, and homewares. I've been taking notes all month. I'm not even really sure what some of the notes say. I didn't really read through them. I just have them here and I'm going to go through and speak off the cuff about what my experience has been this month. I was a little bit worried that there wouldn't be as much fodder for a check-in during the beauty budget as there was during the no-buy, but I needn't have worried. There is a lot of fodder. So let's go ahead and get right into the meat of the video. I have it right at the top of my list of notes to say thank you to all of you for two things in particular. First of all, thank you so much for your support on the video that went up on Wednesday. It was my first ever sponsored video, my only sponsored video thus far on my channel, and I was elated to be working with Poshmark. I was so excited that they wanted to sponsor me. I was so excited for the video, but I was nervous. I was afraid that it wouldn't go over well. And I guess I should have known better because you guys are the best and you really are the best. And then secondly, in a similar vein, I need to thank you for something that is here in the room with me just out of frame. I don't know if you can tell, hopefully you can tell, I got some new lights. I was able to purchase two beautiful big softbox lights using the money from some donations that have come in through my donation button. I mentioned this briefly in my channel changes video, so if you've seen that, you will already know this, but there's a link now at the very bottom of my description box. If you open the description box and scroll down to the bottom, through which you can donate to the health and well-being of my channel if you so choose. It's totally optional, definitely not a situation where I'm raising money for something. I just wanted there to be an option, for there to be an outlet. And enough donations came in this month that I was able to buy these lights. And I also kind of tinkered with my camera and I think I got the white balance better, and hopefully the video quality is better than it was before in this video. Let me know if it looks the same as it always has, then maybe I'm doing something wrong and I need to try harder. Let's get into the meat of the meat. Okay, so the first note that I have here is about something that the budget has required of me that the no-buy year didn't require of me, except for I guess at the very beginning of the year on January 1st, which is stopping cold. I ran out of my budget about halfway through the month, maybe even a little bit earlier than that. I had spent my budget and I had to then stop shopping completely because I had no money left. In fact, if I had run out of a staple item like a cleanser at that moment, I wouldn't have been allowed under the rules of my budget to replace that item because I'm not allowed to buy replacements with money except for the money that's in my budget. So I did leave a little cushion of $10 or $15, but essentially I had run out of my budget and I just had to stop cold. All of the shopping behaviors, all of the actual shopping, all of the acquiring of goods just ended. And it was harder than the no-buy in some ways. There were things that were really hard about the no-buy, but I think the thing I wanted to communicate is that I'm finding that stopping and starting an addictive behavior is much harder than going cold turkey for me. And I had to grapple with this weird, stuttering, struggly feeling for a couple of days, if not a week or so, maybe even a little longer than that, after I spent my entire budget. And obviously stopping shopping cold turkey at the beginning of 2018 was difficult, but for the most part, it was sort of just a forward march. There wasn't any forward, back. It had its ups and downs, but I didn't have to stop shopping again anymore after I stopped on the 1st of January. I only had to do that very difficult thing one time during the no-buy year. I talked a lot about grit and determination during the no-buy year, and I also talked a lot about willpower, and I did mention in a video that I had read some studies that talked about willpower being a finite resource that diminishes over the course of the day. And some of you said in the comments that new studies have since shown that willpower doesn't quite work that way, that it actually works more like a muscle, and that the more you exercise it, the stronger the muscle gets. I feel like I'm being required to exercise a tremendous amount of willpower right now to stick to my budget, specifically to stop buying stuff after I spend my whole budget for the month. My willpower muscles are strong because of the no buy year, but I still feel them working. I'm having to call upon all of the grit and determination and self-love that I mobilized during my no buy year in order to keep myself on track. I'm having to call it into effect and use it to stick to my budget. And I think that the other thing that the no buy year helped me develop that's helping me now is self-awareness. I became so accustomed to catching myself in the act of the mental patterns of addictive behavior with relation to shopping that paying attention to what's going on in there is now second nature. And a lot of the things that are going on are things that I know, I recognize. So the habit of looking for something to want, for example, that's something that I learned about during the no buy year because I caught myself doing it, and it was so absurd during the no buy year because I wasn't going to buy anything. So why was I looking for something to want? It was just that the habit kept rolling. But now there is that possibility. There is the possibility that wanting to want could turn into wanting, and that wanting could turn into buying. But because of the no buy year, I'm still able to see it happening. And because I'm now in the habit of shutting it down, I have the ability to turn it off. Even though I had money to spend during the first half of the month, I was still able to turn that switch off. Let me give you a concrete example because I feel like I'm just blabbering in this super abstract way right now. Going into the drugstore to get something that we need. So we sometimes cross the street and go into the CVS right before we go grocery shopping because there's a CVS right there. And it's when we need something like Joe buys our like paper towels there or something. I don't know what he needed something one day. We went to CVS, doing a really good job at keeping this story concrete, aren't I? So we went into CVS to get something that we needed, and the wanting to want turned on. It was like, we're in the drugstore. Maybe there's makeup that I want. Maybe if I go into the makeup and I start looking at all of the makeup, I'll find something that I want. And then I'll want something, and that'll be great because then I'll be able to buy it, and then I'll be like, synapses firing, dopamine, and that'll be amazing, right? This is the sick part of my brain, that the still ill part of my brain that's always waiting to awaken and cause me to buy a bunch of stuff that I don't really want to bring into my home. So that happened. I was in the drugstore, I didn't want anything, but then suddenly I wanted to want something. But I clocked it. As soon as it happened, I was like, I don't want anything. I don't want to want anything. We're here to get the thing, and let's just leave. I mean, I'm making it sound like I'm a real boss, but it wasn't really like that. It happened inside my head in a slightly more angsty way, where I was like drawn to the makeup, and then I didn't want to get drawn into the makeup, and I sort of looked at the makeup and I didn't want anything, and then I felt a little disappointed that I didn't want anything, but then I was like, no, if you don't want something, you don't want something. Why do I want something still, even after that whole no buy year? That's more what it was like. The point is that in its imperfection, I was aware of it. I was watching myself go through it. I was feeling myself feel it, and I didn't buy anything. The old habits are still there, and they became extremely dormant during the no buy year because they kind of learned that there was no chance for them, and so they just skulked off into the corner waiting for the day that the no buy would be over. And now that the no buy is over, I get myself into certain situations and the old habits come back. They're like, ooh, me, do I get to come back now? Is it my turn now? And I have to be like, no, bye girl, bye. And then everything's fine. So that's what I wanted to say about habits. I have a note here about wanting to buy makeup. I want to buy makeup a lot. I was so surprised buy this. Coming off of the no buy year, I felt so satisfied with the makeup that I already own. So I wasn't expecting to have this like constant desire to buy makeup tapping at the door. But I do. The thing that's different now, different compared to what it was like before my no buy year, is that when I have the impulse to buy makeup, I check myself because of how fast I'm aware my budget is going. Because even though $20 for a really nice lip gloss, for example, seems like an okay amount to spend once in a while if I really, really want the thing, that's 10% of my monthly budget. And that really puts it in perspective. So many times over the course of the month, I was like,
yes, buy the lipstick, hedonistic, materialistic, beauty-loving brain orgasms.
And then I was like, wait.
No, the budget.
Okay, I guess we won't buy the lipstick. It made me realize just how I frittered away so many dollars over the course of so many years on what seemed like just little things here and there. Because the desire to buy a little thing strikes all the time. During the first couple weeks of the month, I would say the desire to buy a little thing was striking me every day, and it adds up fast. But that was at the beginning of the month, and one of the really interesting things that I noticed this week was that after I spent the whole budget and I went through the process of stopping shopping again in a small way, just like I did at the beginning of the no-buy year, I essentially went on a no-buy for 2 weeks. For the second half of the month, I had to go on a no-buy because I had spent my whole budget. And I know no-buys. I am familiar and I am capable. So it wasn't scary, but it wasn't nothing to start another no-buy after having been able to spend money again for 2 weeks and after having bought some beautiful things. But the thing that was amazing was that just like my long no-buy, it was hard at the beginning and then it got much, much easier. But unlike my long no-buy, that process happened very, very fast this time. I would say within a matter of days. So I spent my budget, I started my mini no-buy, and then over the course of the rest of the month, my desire to buy things just slowly simmered down. And now, at the end of January, I feel exactly how I felt at the end of my no-buy year. I feel kind of like shopping. What's that? Who cares? I feel like my new habits of mind, the habits of mind that I developed with the assistance of my no-buy year, were disturbed by shopping at the beginning of the month. But then they settled back into place very, very quickly once I had stopped shopping again. So I have a little note here. Everything's a little bit out of order, or not really. It's a little bit in chronological order, but this is sort of just an abstract floating note that says I'm drowning in lippies, which I just wanted to mention. It's an unexpected observation that I made this month. My lipstick declutter was the first declutter that I filmed in my declutter series. I felt like I really got my collection of lipsticks down to something manageable, but still a lot. It's like a large, small collection for me. And I have continued to acquire lip products. Some of them because they're given to me or sent to me, but I bought some too. I bought a lipstick. I bought 2 lipsticks this month, and I keep wanting more. I don't think I would have said before this month that I am a person who's particularly predisposed to buy lip products or to collect lip products. I just learned that. I learned that about myself. I decluttered my lipsticks. I felt like my collection was manageable, and now all of a sudden I feel like it's multiplying again. It's like the lip products are having babies with each other, and I wake up in the morning, there's another one there. For some reason, for me, they seem to be the easiest thing to collect, and I'm just going to have to keep an eye on myself, I think, in that department. So the exciting and kind of unexpected thing that happened that I wanted to tell you about is that I went to a beauty event. I went to the Indie Beauty Expo, which sounds like it's going to be about indie makeup, because a lot of times on YouTube when we say indie beauty, we're talking about makeup, but it wasn't. It was indie brands that make mostly skincare and hair care, body care, that kind of thing. There was almost no makeup in the building, but it was still very exciting. And I have my friend Serene Wu to thank for the opportunity to attend the Indie Beauty Expo. I'm sure that many of you are following her already. She has a wonderful YouTube channel, and I've been watching her for years. And we recently got to meet in person, which was amazing. It was really fun to chat with another YouTube content creator, and she was about to go to this expo and she found a way to get me a pass as well. It was basically just a conference hall or a convention center with booths, and I walked around and I met the brand owners of a lot of independent beauty brands, and it was extraordinary. It was paradigm shifting for me in a number of ways. One thing that I noticed that was so interesting to me was that I wasn't attracted to the brands that looked expensive. And this is a total about face from my tastes over a year ago, before my no-buy year. So I was walking around, I was essentially looking to discover really great skincare from independent, and to be honest, I'm very interested in woman-owned brands to share with you guys. That was what I was doing there as an influencer. I was like, let me see what I can find. Let me see if there's anything that my subscribers might be interested in. But what that meant was that when I saw a brand that looked like they had the most expensive luxury bougie packaging, and they were probably selling a peptide cream for like $150 a jar, I just walked right past it. I was attracted to the mid-range brands. I was attracted to the brands that looked like they knew what they were doing in terms of science and ingredients, but that they weren't gussying it up with a bunch of like gold leaf and stuff. My tastes have changed dramatically when it comes to product, and my judgment has changed. I no longer feel like you have to spend a lot of money to get good skincare, and I was looking for brands who also believe that you shouldn't have to spend a lot of money to get good skincare. Also, being at that event drove home for me the fact that we no longer have to buy from the big guys in order to get good skincare. There are so many amazing brands doing top-notch work that it seems silly for me, for example, to pour every last dollar of my budget into big corporations every month. Part of my project this year is that I'm trying to think more and find out more about where my money goes when I spend it on beauty. And meeting the brand owners of these small beauty brands, it really helped to contextualize and make realistic that thought, that question of where the money goes. Because I was talking to these women and I was like, if I buy a product from this line, this is where the money goes. It goes to these innovative, creative, powerful women who are doing cool things, who have families, many of whom are using their brands to give back. And then the last note that I had about that specifically is that I realized when I got home, after I had reflected on it for a couple of days, that I don't believe in holy grail skincare anymore. All of the nice skincare is great. You can't use it all, and you don't have to keep searching. I like learning about different skincare and experimenting. I like the fact that the vitamin C serum I'm using now is way better than the one that I was using before. That's great. I'm using the Timeless vitamin C serum, and I was thinking about trying out the May Love vitamin C serum, and the way I've been thinking of it is I need to find out which one's better. I need to find out which one's my holy grail, which one's the perfect one, which one's the top of the pyramid, the best one ever. And seeing all of these amazing brand owners all doing incredible work, but many of them doing similar things, it just made me realize that it's all good. It's all good. They're all doing good. And this brand over here was selling a really beautiful, high quality face oil at an amazing price. And this brand over here was selling a really good, amazing, high quality face oil at an amazing price. It's not a situation where I feel like I need to try one face oil out for a while and then try the other one and declare one the winner. It's like, we're so lucky that there's such an abundance of choice and that there are so many amazing small brands run by good people making awesome stuff. So I'm trying to, and going to this event really helped me to let go of that searching thing, that feeling of needing to find the best and only the best for my skin, you know? And I'm a little bit more living in the, wow, aren't we so lucky? Isn't this amazing? Isn't this stuff amazing? I'm kind of sitting there right now, and I feel really lucky to have gotten the chance to go to that event. Okay, I have one more thing to say about Indie Beauty Expo, and then I have 2 little notes at the end, and then we'll be done. Product. Many brands take an event like this as an opportunity to get their product into the hands of buyers and members of the press. So I was walking around and I was meeting all these wonderful people, and I was being offered free product. And I stuck to my rules. I didn't accept anything that I didn't truly want to try. That's my rule for PR. And that's essentially what it was. So I made the rule that I would only accept PR if I really wanted it. And I previously felt like that would be a really good sieve. I felt like if I only accepted what I wanted, then PR would just trickle in because I'm a picky bitch and I only want certain things, and I only wanted to try out really high quality things and things I was intrigued by and from brands that I felt good about. So I was like, yeah, this will be manageable. Well, here I was at this convention packed with brands that I felt good about and being offered a lot of product that I genuinely want to try. And I'm not complaining. I am aware of how lucky and weird and wonderful this is, and I am very excited to be testing everything that I decided to accept while I was at the Indie Beauty Expo, and some of it I can't wait to tell you guys about. So it's all good. It's just that the landscape here has changed somewhat, and what I mean by that is that the Purgatory box is now 2.5 Purgatory boxes and a little paper bag. And that's more stuff than I can go through in one video. That's more stuff than I can decide on in one reckoning. Especially with the skincare, I can't test it all at once. I have to rein myself in and just do one product at a time so that I can actually understand the effect that each product is having on my skin, so that I can actually report back to you, and in some cases to the brand. So I'm just bringing it up because I want to be open with you, and I felt like I needed to tell you that the reality of signing up to be a review channel, in part, is finally hitting home, and it is not quite what I expected it to be. I'm still in flux over this matter. I need to decide if my current constraints, the constraints that I outlined in my channel changes video, are suitable, or if I'm going to need to change the way that I accept product for a review. I'm not feeling overwhelmed. It's not like I don't know how to proceed, because it really does all fit into 2 little boxes pretty much, and a little bit more than 2 little boxes. It's not like I'm drowning under piles of product and I don't even know what I have. It's just that I can kind of see how it could become unsustainable or how it could become overwhelming if I don't continue to adjust to the reality of my situation. Okay, so the last 2 little notes are actually kind of housekeeping matters with relation to the functioning of my budget, the rules of my beauty budget. The first one is about homewares. I realized this month that I needed to clarify the rules about buying homewares, both for myself and for you guys, because I've gotten some questions in the comments like, how is it fair that you're the only one buying homewares when you live in a 2-person home, etc., etc. And it's actually not the case. Joe does buy homewares, and the way it has kind of shaken down is that when he thinks we need something, he'll buy it. And when I think we need something, I'll buy it. And it's rare that we both agree that there's something that we really need. When we both agree that there's something that we really need, Joe will often buy it with our shared money. So the other day he was on Amazon. We had lost the wire insert rack for the Instant Pot. I have no idea where it could possibly have gone. I don't think anyone would have taken it. It must be lost in the house somewhere, but I looked for like 1.5 hours and I couldn't find it. So we need it because I cook with the Instant Pot all the time. I use it all the time, and it's like a functioning piece of our household. It's like a cog that had been removed. So Joe just hopped on Amazon and bought a new one, and he used our joint account that we use to buy food. Now, in contrast, I will remind you of my purchase this month of the bed suspenders, the sheet suspenders that hold the sheet on, the fitted sheet onto the bed. That was something that I've been wanting for months. I was like, this is driving me crazy. We have to fix this. I want to get some kind of gadget that will hold the sheet on. And Joe was like, whatever, it's fine. We don't need it. Now that we have it, I don't know, I haven't really asked him, but he would probably grudgingly admit that it's working and that it's nice to have, but he could honestly take it or leave it. That's a thing that I felt driven to do because of my desire to have our home be just so. We would have been fine without the sheet suspenders. We made it through the no-buy year without the sheet suspenders. And so that was something I felt like needed to come out of my budget. So in conclusion, or what I'm trying to tell you, is that I have decided that there are two kinds of homewares. There are things that we both agree we truly need for the home to be functional, or things that Joe specifically needs for the home to be functional, even if they appear to be homewares, like a new scrubby to scrub our pots because he does the dishes. That's a homeware, but I'm not going to buy that using my budget. That's something that we'll pick up when we're at the grocery store and we'll spend our food money on it. And then the other category of homewares, those are things that I would consider to be vanity items. Things that I have decided that we need to make the home more perfect or more beautiful or more idealized. And the honest truth is that the first category, the homewares that we decide together that we obviously really do need, those are few and far between. It just doesn't happen very often. We have everything that we need. The vanity items, however, for the home, the things that I fixate on and think that we need to make the home more idealized, I come across those all the time. Houseplants are a great example. I'm constantly thinking we need another houseplant, we need another this, the house would be so much better if we could have this or have that. Those are things that come from my budget. They have to come from my budget. I can't buy that stuff with our joint food money. And the last little thing I wanted to touch on is the question of returning things. I got a lot of questions after my video about what I bought during my first month, about why I didn't return the things that I didn't think were awesome choices. So I had two things that I wasn't thrilled that I had purchased. One is the brow gel from NYX and the other is the Burgundy Drugstore mascara. And the comments were to the effect of, if I had a product that didn't work like that, I would definitely return it. Or do you have rules about returning things, blah, blah, blah. I am allowed to return things if they truly don't work for me. I mean, let's be honest, I'm allowed to return things even if I just decide I want to. There's no rule like it has to be this bad for you to return it. So yes, I could totally have returned that mascara that I didn't feel awesome about having bought. If it had been a $60 expenditure and I was feeling really lukewarm about it, I would probably feel really bad. I would be like, ugh, I really need to undo this. And then I would return the thing. But for an $8 mascara that I definitely will use, that I will probably grow to love as it gets drier and the formula gets a little bit gunkier, or for a mediocre brow gel, it's not amazing, but it's also not terrible. It does pretty much do its job. It just has its flaws. For that type of thing, for that amount of money, honestly, I don't feel like it would be worth the time to make the return. That's the honest truth. I'm over here like, time is money. Do I want to spend the time walking back to the CVS, doing the exchange, getting my $8 back, trying to decide what to do with those $8? No. The brow gel, definitely not, because it's like a half-hour drive to the mall with the NYX store in it, the mall at which I bought that brow gel. So there's just no way. And when I bought those things, I kind of knew that. I was like, these aren't things that I'm going to try and then return. And that's the other thing. That's the other reason that I am not inclined to return a little thing like that. It's because I am consciously attempting to resist falling back into my old pre-no-buy mentality of buying just to try. I wasn't the worst offender when it comes to this, but I definitely did have that mentality that I could buy a bunch of stuff, or even in some cases buy more than I knew I wanted to have, or spend more than I knew it was wise to spend. I would do that knowing that I could return the stuff that I didn't love after I tried it. And I just don't want to do that anymore. I want to buy things with the expectation that I will keep them and use them, with the hope that I will keep them and use them. I want to plan never to return a thing, and then only do it if I'm truly driven to it. And I hope that makes sense. Maybe some of you are familiar with that kind of revolving door mentality about products, like constantly products in, then back to the store, in, then back to the store. And maybe if you are, you can understand why I would essentially want to err on the side of keeping a thing. That's my plan going forward. And that is it. That is it for my first check-in of the beauty budget. Except I forgot to tell you about this blouse, which is from Rent the Runway. It is by the designer Marnie. It's the second Marnie blouse that I've rented from Rent the Runway. I almost didn't rent it because it didn't look as good in the pictures as it looks in real life, but now that I have it, it's one of my favorite things that I rented. And my month is almost over with Rent the Runway, so look for a video probably in February about the whole experience. I'll be recapping everything and reporting back about everything. All right, that really is it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you will remember to take extra good care of yourself this week so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world. Are you coming in your Slytherin? Let's see how Sadie looks with a new white blouse. Sadie, you want to be in the thumbnail?
Are you mugging for the camera?
I'm doing my thumbnail picture. So yes.